Let's review all the habitats that we've learned about. We've been learning all about the woodland habitat or the forest. Take a look at all the animals in the woodland habitat. Wait a minute. There's some animals that don't belong in this habitat. We know that the woodland habitat has lots of trees and grass. Which animals do not belong in the woodland habitat? Do bears belong in the woodland habitat? Yes. Do rabbits belong in the woodland habitat? Yes. What about foxes? Do they belong in the woodland habitat? Yes. A seal. Do seals belong in the woodland habitat? No. Seals belong in what habitat? The ocean. Do squirrels belong in the woodland habitat? Yes. Remember, Suma Squirrel took us on a tour around the woodland habitat. Do elephants belong in the woodland habitat? What? No. Elephants do not live in the forest. What about deer? Yes, they live in the woodland habitat. And what about a tropical bird? Do they live in the woodland habitat? No, not this kind of bird. This is a tropical bird that belongs in the rainforest. The woodland habitat has different kinds of birds. Very good. Now let's review the pond habitat. Take a look. Which animals do not belong in the woodland habitat? Does the pond have insects like dragonflies and flies? Yes, so those belong. What about a camel? Does a camel belong in the pond? No, camels belong in the desert habitat. What about a monkey? Do they belong in the pond habitat? No, monkeys belong in the rainforest. What about ducks and swans? Do they swim in the pond? Yes, they do. So they belong in the pond habitat. Do frogs and lily pads belong in the pond habitat? Yes. And what about jellyfish? Do they belong in a pond? No. Jellyfish need salt water, so they live in the ocean. Very good job. Now let's take a look at our last one that we're going to review, the desert or the savanna. Which animals do not belong to the desert? Do elephants live there? Yes. What about ostriches? Do they live in the desert? Yes. And lions do too. Very good. What about tropical birds? Do they live in the desert? No. Different kinds of birds live in the desert, like roadrunners. They live in the desert. What about giraffes? Do they live in the desert? Yes. Do sheep live in the desert? No, they live on farms. Remember, they get their coat sheared from the farmers. And walruses, do they live in the desert? No, walruses need water from the ocean. And zebras, do zebras live in the desert? Yes. Very good job sorting different animals that live in our habitats. I'll see you next time.